get ready to get sticky. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Sticky Situations. I'm your host, Rachel. I know you didn't forget because I'm unforgettable. Please, let's get some administrative business out of the way. Go follow us, subscribe, rate it, review. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, probably some other platforms too that I just don't know about. But you're welcome to tell me. Or if you listen to podcasts on a different platform and we are not there, please send me a DM and let me know and I'll work on it. Go follow Sticky Situations Pod on Instagram, follow Sticky Situations Pod on TikTok, like Sticky Situations page on Facebook, and if you or someone you know wants to be a guest on the podcast or wants to date me or any of my previous guests on the podcast, unless they said that they are taken, you can send me a DM on Instagram at Sticky Situations Pod or send me an email at stickysituationspod@gmail.com. So let's get right into it today because I have a great guest and I'm so excited. So everybody give a warm welcome to my friend Morgan.
Hi, everyone.
Hey Morgan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Such an honor being here.
And okay, so I'll just say it after we give you your introduction. Morgan, I'm so excited to have you here. I've been waiting, since I told Morgan about the podcast, she's been so excited to come on the podcast. And I am the type of person, when someone else gets excited, I'm always excited also, but I build off of other people's excitement. So it's great.
I am so excited to be here.
It's so much fun. We love that. I love that.
I love this for us.
I love this for us. We're in my special recording studio, aka my bedroom. Morgan gets to sit where all of my magical accounting work happens.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's a mess. But yeah, so Morgan, yes. Tell my listeners a little bit about you. So can you just generalize, general age, location, and relationship status?
So, hi everyone, I'm Morgan again. I am in my mid-20s. I live in New York City, and I am happily taken.
Okay, so gentlemen, no sliding into the DMs about Morgan, because she is a taken woman. And that segues me into mentioning, if you have not listened to previous episodes, go back and listen, especially the episode prior to this one, / probably 2 episodes prior to this one, because I interviewed Morgan's boyfriend. So now we have Grant's better half, Morgan.
I am his better half, and Grant, if you're listening, you know it's true.
He did. He knew it was true when I said it, when I recorded with him.
He knows.
He knows.
He accepts it. He knows it.
I think he got a little upset, though, when I told him I would choose you over him.
Rachel, that's so nice.
You should take it as a compliment. It means you chose well.
Uh-huh.
You found a really good person to be with.
Thank you so much.
So.
Such a privilege. I love that.
Okay. So Morgan,
yes.
should we get into it?
Let's get into it.
Morgan came into my apartment. She's like, I have a whole list of stories. I spent all day preparing.
I gotta pull up
and
my
I'm
list.
Just like, oh my gosh, I gotta hear this. I'm so excited.
I'm so ready. I had to screenshot it, send it to my best friend. I asked her, I was like, am I missing anything? I don't know.
And stay tuned, everybody, because Morgan's best friend is up on the docket. I'm hopefully next.
Woo!
So, guys, we have some great episodes coming up, so keep listening.
Amazing podcast, 10 out of 10. Please follow it.
Thank you, Morgan. Thank you. Okay. So, Morgan.
Yeah.
Let's hear some stories.
I don't even know where to start. Okay. So, I'll tell a brief history of my dating life. I was in a long-term relationship for a little over 4 years.
Wow.
Yes. That ended during COVID. It was October 2020. It was October 2nd, and I will never forget that day because I had to go to work the next day, and I started crying the entire day.
Oh, my God.
So we broke up. I moved to somewhere else in the city, and was it a month or 2 later, I started dating, and that started this whole wild, experience of dating in New York City that you truly can't experience and know what it's like until you do it.
Yeah. Or listen to this podcast. You get a pretty good feel.
Yes. Dating in New York City is horrible and incredible at the exact same time. So
It's incredible for incredible stories.
Yes. And you know what? That's so true. I obviously, Grant, I love you a lot, and I met Grant and whatever, but before Grant, everyone else was like, it's a hilarious story or a life lesson, and I so appreciate that. And it's perfect. One of the first dates that I went on was with this guy who lived in Staten Island.
Oh, I went out with a guy in Staten Island.
Oh, did you?
I mean, I went on 2 dates. It's actually funny because I was telling this story the other day.
Yeah.
I won't tell the story. There's nothing really to tell. There's no story to it. It was boring. So I'm going to get back to Morgan.
That's right.
But I was just talking about him the other day, and my roommate's like, oh, I also went out with a guy who lives in Staten Island. And we were like a little bit comparing.
Was
It's the same guy.
Oh my god. What are the freaking chances?
So it was from like a matchmaking site
Uh-huh.
that we both subscribed to.
Yeah.
That we were set up with him. She went out with him way before I did. I went out with him summer 2020.
Yeah.
I think she went out with him pre-COVID. So, yeah.
Wow. What small world.
Yeah, small world. I hope he's doing well.
You know?
He was a nice guy. He did not have his life together, and I very much did.
Maybe you helped him get his life together.
I'd like to think so,
Yeah,
but
maybe
probably
he's doing
not.
well. You never know.
I hope he's doing well, though.
I hope this isn't the same guy.
I hope not, but we'll see.
Yeah, so this guy, we went out, like, for probably, like, 2-3 months, actually.
Oh, wow.
And I had my car at the time, so I was driving back and forth over the Verrazano Bridge.
You went to Staten Island? He didn't come to you?
We alternated, so
Okay.
Yeah, so, I was living in Brooklyn at the time, and I was going back and forth, and if you know the Verrazano Bridge, you know it's very expensive. The toll is ridiculous, and
Oh, wow.
to drive into Staten Island, it's like, I don't know if anything is good in Staten Island, and not to, like, you know, like, kick people who are from Staten Island, but, like, if you know of something that's good in Staten Island, like, please let us know, I guess, because I have no idea. So anyway, this guy was is a nationally ranked air guitarist
Oh, my God.
with a stage name and everything, and I don't want to say the stage name, because then people will look him up and then know who he is. But he had a stage name, and that's what I referred to him as with all of my friends. Either I called him by his stage name, or I called him Staten Island. That's how I refer to him. To
Okay,
everyone.
I refer to guys by, like, their location also.
Yeah, Staten
Yeah.
Island. Or air guitar. That was
Air
also
guitar.
his nickname
Oh.
amongst my friends.
Oh, my
So
God.
that was interesting. He was quite the character. There was one night I was there, like, New Year's Eve, and we were just hanging out with his roommate and, like, watching the thing with the ball drop and whatever. And I'm, like, drinking wine, like, casually, whatever, like, minding my own business, having a great time. I had never got so drunk in my entire life. And that was the hardest night of my entire life.
Oh, no.
And he was nice, like, he gave me a sweatshirt, and then he, like, threw me home in a cab at, like, 1 a.m. On
And he
New
just
Year's
take
Eve.
care of you.
No,
Oh, my gosh.
it was traumatic.
I'd be so traumatized.
And asked me if I saw him after that. Yes, I did.
Oh, my God.
That was traumatizing. And he would, the best part about...
Wait, but was your car in Staten Island then?
No, I had taken an Uber to Staten Island because I knew I was going to be drinking. It's New Year's Eve, so obviously I wasn't going to be driving. But, yeah, I did not expect that to happen, like, whatsoever.
Yeah. What the heck?
Yeah, no, it was traumatic. And that started out my series of dating in New York City of men who literally just
Treat you like garbage.
treat you like garbage. Yep, treat you like garbage. It's either a hit or a miss, and most of them were missed. Not missed now, but missed, like, totally don't know how to date women in New York City and how to, like, treat...
They need to listen to this podcast.
Yeah,
Because we give them
absolutely.
tips on how to date.
Yes. Just don't do any of the things that these guys did.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
So,
you'll be perfect.
Men who are listening, because I've gotten the critique that this podcast seems to be geared for girls. It's not. It's not just geared for women, because you know what? I am having some male guests, and I have a whole roster of male guests to come on the podcast. So stay tuned. But also, we give advice. I actually talked to a guy. He listened to a couple episodes. I don't know if he's still listening. I discussed this in Grant's episode.
Yeah.
He told me, he's like, you should monetize. He's like, you should get your dating coach license.
Yeah.
And, like, be a dating coach from the podcast.
Is that a thing? Like a license to be a dating coach?
I think so.
Wow.
Maybe I'll do it. But for now, you guys are getting my free advice.
Take it while it's free.
I didn't listen to the guy who I talked to for 2 days who told me I should monetize. Maybe I will someday, but for now it's free, so take advantage.
Free advice.
Free advice.
So Staten Island started out my horrible dating scene. While I still lived in Brooklyn, I went on a date with this guy. Only one date. His job was, he was basically, I don't know how else to say it, like a paid protester. Nothing against people who protest, like, go ahead, stand up for your rights, like, hoorah, like, you do you, that's amazing. But we talked about politics the entire date.
Oh, no.
It was our first date. And,
Oh,
like,
no. Were you on the same side? Politically?
Yeah, but, like, he was way more of an extremist.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he literally protests for a living. Which, if you do that, like, good for you. Like, you're an incredible person. But, like, then I don't talk about politics the entire first date.
Oh,
because we had nothing to go off of. We only texted, like, for, like, maybe a day or two before the first date. So it's not like we had been talking for a long time. Like, we brought that up in conversation. It was just first date, off the bat, full political conversation. I felt like I was at, like, a business meeting.
Oh, my God.
It was so horrible.
I had that, but it was a video call, and he just told me, like, I mentioned one of my political views, and I'm not very political. I have certain things that I care about.
Of course.
And then I have certain other strong opinions about certain things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm usually pretty moderate in the middle. There are certain things I lean more one way for, so other things I lean more the other way.
Right.
But I also just don't like talking politics.
Right.
And this guy, I said one thing. For the next hour, he just continued to tell me why I was wrong in my political beliefs.
Did
and,
we go
like,
out with the same guy?
And preach. No, I think this guy had a real job,
Oh.
but I don't remember what it was. Actually, I think he works at a voting center. I honestly don't know. Was it? I don't know. I don't think so. I feel like no, but yeah, I was not happy. I was literally texting my friend in the middle. I was, like, texting her on my iPad because I was video chatting on my phone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't have an iPhone. And I was just like, I didn't have any numbers saved in my iPad.
Right.
And I was on iMessage. And I just had her number saved because we had FaceTimed on my iPad. And I just texted her SOS. Like, I need out. Like,
oh my God.
I don't know what to do.
Call you or something? You got an excuse to leave the date?
She's like, do you want me to call you? And I'm like, I'm going to see if this will end soon. But I was just, like, talking to her the whole time while he was on a rant.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because I couldn't text because he would know I was texting because I was on my...
You're on a date, yeah.
I'm on my date on the video on my phone. So, like, something would happen with the video.
Right.
So I was on my iPad texting her the whole time. I'm like,
oh my God.
Get me out of here.
Honestly, I would have just hung up.
I should
have.
have.
And then text the next day, be like, sorry, my phone died. And then when you text back, you'd be like, actually, I'm not interested anymore.
Oh, yeah. And then afterwards, he texted. He's like, yeah, I just don't think this is a good match. I'm like, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Like, I could not agree more.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God, yeah.
You
know, it's funny, FaceTime actually segues into the next guy.
Okay.
I had a fully, like, almost fully COVID real, like, FaceTime relationship for, like, 6 months.
Oh my God. Like, all of your stories, it's funny because all of your stories, okay, the 4 year, but, like,
yeah.
Staten Island, you dated for 2 to 3 months. Like, that's a long time. 6 months is a long time.
Yeah, it was a long time. The thing with him was he never wanted to say that we were dating. Like, we're talking exclusively for 6 months.
Yeah. Was he in a different, like, state?
No. We were both in New York City.
Why wouldn't he see you in person?
He was very, very COVID conscious.
Okay.
This was some early summer of 2021.
Okay,
it was like the second wave came out or something.
This is post-vaccine era. Why he couldn't meet you outside?
I actually remember we first started talking right after we both got our first vaccine. Like, we had just gotten the vaccine, so we're vaccinated, right? Obviously, COVID was not what it is today. It was still, like, heightened, but, like, it was nowhere near what it was March 2020. It was completely different.
But also, at that point, the vaccines, like, actually prevented you from getting COVID.
Yes. Yeah.
And, like, But also, it was summer, so you could go outside.
Oh God, wait till you hear this.
Oh my
We went
God.
on a walk outside the first time we ever saw each other in person after, I think at this point we had been exclusively FaceTiming for, I want to say 2 or 3 months.
Oh my
We
God.
went on a walk outside and he asked me to put my mask on.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Nobody was wearing masks. Summer 2021, nobody wore masks. They
It was like the
lifted all
freedom.
of the mask mandates.
Yes. No one's wearing a mask outside. It's summertime.
Nobody was wearing a mask inside.
It was our first real summer, literally, because March 2020, and then that summer everyone was, the toilet paper crisis, like, that wasn't a real summer.
Yeah.
Summer 2021 was a real summer. You're not wearing
Oh
a
my
mask
God.
outside. I mean, it was just crazy. So, over the next few months, like, we would continue, we had FaceTimes, like, maybe twice a week, and they would last, like, really 3 to 4 hours at a time. Like, we were talking a lot, like, texting every day, but it was exclusively over the phone, and, like, we lived very close to each other. There was no reason why we couldn't go meet up and go on a walk. If he didn't want to go inside, that's one thing, but are you
There's
kidding me?
outdoor dining. You can get
Yeah.
a picnic at a park and sit 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
Also, like, at that point, like, if it's someone you're seeing, I don't know. At some point, people stop dying from COVID. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I'm sure there are still deaths. I understand COVID is still dangerous, whatever. But it wasn't March 2020.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know. Why did you do it for that long? I would not.
I don't know.
I would have dipped.
You know, we had, like, a personal connection. Not, like, I didn't know him, like, growing up or anything like that, but I had looked him up on Facebook, and I saw we had, like, 15 mutual friends. I was like, that's so crazy. Turns out, his dad is a part owner of the sleepaway camp that I went to.
Oh, that's so funny.
So, of course, like, we're dating. I'm like, oh, my God, we're going to send our kids to sleepaway camp for free. Like, I had all these, like, wild thoughts. I was like, you know what? We were having, like, really nice conversations. And, like, I thought we were, like, really on the same page about a lot of things. But when we met up in person, it was just, for the first few times, it was honestly kind of, like, uncomfortable. Like, because you talk to someone for hours over the phone, and then you see them in person, you're like, what do I do with my hands? Like, how do I look? Like, it's such an uncomfortable
Like, do I touch
feeling.
you? Like,
Yeah, and he was not at all, like, okay, let me rephrase. You know how everyone has their, quote, love languages?
yeah.
Like, one of mine is, like, physical touch. Like, I like holding hands, like, your arm around me, things
I do
like
too, I
that.
like
Yeah, I like that. He was not at all like that.
He wasn't
like,
affectionate.
Not affectionate whatsoever, and I couldn't stand that. But something about him kept me talking to him for 6 freaking months.
Were you the only one he was talking to?
As far as I knew, but of
And this was the
course-
only guy you were talking to.
Yes. I wasn't talking to anyone else. It took, I want to say, at least 4 months for me to ask him, because he wasn't saying, oh, I'm not talking to anyone. I was like, he didn't initiate that conversation. I was the one who brought it up, and I said to him, I was like, so we've been talking for, like, 4 months now, like, kind of like a what are we? Like, what is going on? Like, are you seeing anyone else? And he was like, no, I'm not talking to anyone else. It's like, okay, that's good. And then I was like, so what are we? And he said, well, you know, like, I don't want to put a label on things. Like, I feel like, and it was just one of those, like, bullshit, like, runarounds. I'm like, okay.
It's
you're
so
done.
dumb.
Like, you're done.
Something was
Yeah.
wrong with this guy.
No, absolutely something was wrong with him.
Something was wrong with
It
him.
was so frustrating, but I was like, you know what, fuck it, like, maybe he'll come around. Like, I'm giving this man the benefit of the doubt. Ladies, don't ever give the man the benefit of the doubt. It's not worth it.
No, men do not deserve the benefit of the doubt. I
Vance,
know
I'm so
this.
sorry, you don't. Like,
Okay, if a man has proven himself,
yeah,
he deserves the benefit of the doubt. If he has proven that he is a good guy,
100%.
then he can get the benefit of the doubt. I try to find myself, like, justifying things and giving the benefit of the doubt, and I'm like, no, it's not.
So I only give people the benefit of the doubt when I have no reason to, like, trust them. Like, they've done nothing to, like, make you trust them. Like, I had been dating this guy for, like, 4 months, and it's like, you're not giving me any sort of signal of, like, we're, like, exclusive or like something along the
Or
lines
like this
of,
is
like,
going anywhere.
Yeah, there was nothing. It was completely stagnant, and nothing was happening. One day, this is where the 6 month ends. One day,
gosh.
he calls me out of the blue. Of course, he calls me because our entire relationship was based off of calls and FaceTime. He calls me. He was like, so I just, I've realized over the last 6 months, like, I'm just not ready for, like, a long-term relationship right now. It has nothing to do with you. I just don't want a relationship with anyone. Like, I don't want to lead you on. Like, he's saying he doesn't want to lead me on as if he didn't lead me on. 6 months of leading me on. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, do you think that wasn't leading me on?
Oh my
gosh. What the hell was he thinking? It was so ridiculous. So he says this whole long thing. We're on the phone for like half an hour, and he was like, share your thoughts. And I was just like, I have nothing to say to you.
You're a jerk.
Yeah, in the moment I was just so taken aback because it really just came out of nowhere. And he was like, I'm here, like, whenever you're ready to talk, you just let me know.
Like, why do you need to talk to him?
Right. Well, I was still, like, processing because I was like, that just doesn't make any sense. Like, at no point over the last 6 months have you mentioned an inkling of you're emotionally unavailable, or you're not ready for a relationship, or you're XYZ, or you're gay, or I don't know, whatever it is. And, okay.
Obviously, he's messed up in the head in some capacity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If, like, during the freest time of COVID, he wouldn't even take a walk with you unmasked outside.
6 months. Yeah. So, the day after that phone call, I texted him during the day, and I was like, can I call you after work? Like, I just, like, as, like, a closure thing. Like, 6 months is kind of a long time when you're in your mid-20s and trying to find someone that you want to be with the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So,
I dated my ex for 5.5 months, and I thought we were going to get married at some point. Like,
exactly.
Like, we talked about a future in marriage, and, like,
yes.
if you're dating seriously, like, even I had a 2-month relationship, and it was serious. Like, we were in the mindset of, like, we're not dating just to mess around. We're dating to, like, see if this is, like, a real thing. And, like, I mean, I ended up breaking up with him because it just, like, wasn't the right fit. But, like, I was, like, it hurt me so much to end that.
Yeah.
Even though that was the right decision. Like, and that was only 2 months.
If you're in it, you're in it. And,
yeah.
and you're having those serious conversations.
Time doesn't matter. I think it's the mentality of it and how serious you are. And, like, if you're thinking about long term.
Right.
But, like, obviously, if you are, and the more time that goes by, like, it just makes it worse.
Right. And it's like, when relationships end, and I mean, at least from my experience, one person isn't thinking long term and the other is, or the other one person just doesn't like the other person, you're not compatible, and you wait way too long to tell them. Like, for what? You're wasting my time, you're wasting your time. There's literally no purpose in that. So the next day, I texted him asking if I can call him. He doesn't respond. I'm like, okay. I gave him the benefit of the doubt, which, again, never do.
Yeah, never.
I assumed, like, he was working late, like, whatever, okay, I'll hear from him the next day. 2 days goes by, radio silence. I'm like, oh my God, I've been ghosted.
Oh my God.
I sent him, like, an essay-long text. I'm just, like, throwing it out there. I'm like, I like, completely shit on him. I was like, if you think that, like, you didn't lead me on, you're, like, gravely wrong. Like, and I'm not sure in what world you thought that was, like, right, but, like, you completely wasted my time, and that was so unfair of you, and, like, you should not do that to the next girl that you try and talk to, like, for your own freaking sake. Like, that's disgusting. He never responded. I literally was ghosted by this man. Yeah.
What a jerk.
Such a jerk.
What a jerk.
Uh-huh.
Wonder what he's up to now. I hope he's still single.
Oh, and the best part about him was he would be wearing an N95 in the elevator, and anytime someone walked in the elevator, he would hold his breath.
Oh my God. Did he have, like, an underlying condition? Like, what was his, like, fear of COVID?
Germaphobe is one thing. Like, this was extreme. Like, it was...
I bet he's still locked up in his apartment, not seeing people.
I'm 100% convinced that there is no way he stayed in New York City through the pandemic.
Like
I'm sure he went
no
back
way.
home to his parents.
There's no way he's still, like, the past, like, 2.5 years, like...
Yeah.
No.
Oh, and
no
about
way.
his parents, and then I'll segue into the next side, but about his parents, he would go back to his parents almost every other weekend. He told me when he moved apartments, his parents stayed with him in his apartment for 3 days.
Why?
He's a man in his low 30s.
Oh,
in
my
his
gosh.
own one-bedroom apartment, and he had his parents staying with him.
Oh, my gosh.
Hire movers and move on with your life. Like, grow up.
Yeah, I hired movers.
Right. It's one
For
thing,
all my
like,
moves.
it's one thing if your parents live local, they come and help you out. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that is so nice. I mean, my family is not in New York State.
Yeah, mine
so
isn't
like,
either.
yeah, so it's, you know, I can understand. That'd be so nice to have your parents come in, but like,
I know.
I cannot imagine having my parents staying with me for 3 days.
My mom stayed in this current apartment for one night. She had to
Yeah.
come in for one thing, and she's like,
Yeah.
can I just stay one night?
Right.
And, like, one of my roommates wasn't here, so I just put her in the air mattress in my roommate's room.
Uh-huh.
And in my old apartment, I had, we had, like, a futon couch.
Yeah.
So my mom stayed over for, like, 1 or 2 nights. This
Yeah.
was also, like, during the pandemic. Like,
Right.
Like, they came in for a wedding or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't height pandemic. It wasn't, like, March 2020, but it was summer 2020.
Right.
Summer 2020, I think.
Yeah.
So she stayed for, like, a day or two.
Yeah.
But it's very different, like, I don't know. Like, my roommates were chill. My dad stayed at my brother's apartment. My mom stayed at my apartment.
Yeah,
Like,
you're also not a grown-ass man who's like 33 years old. Like,
I know.
Like, that's ridiculous.
yeah.
Ridiculous.
I mean, like, I did tell my dad that when I do move apartments,
Mhm.
I need him to come in and help me get some stuff, because I have stuff in storage at my friend's house.
Yeah, well, that's a lot.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I need you to just come into New York
Uh-huh.
for, like, a day or two.
Yeah.
But he has other places to stay.
Right. Of course.
So, he wouldn't stay at my
Yeah.
apartment, but, like, I wouldn't have tolerated it. Honestly,
I don't know why I did.
okay, so honestly, I'll tell you, like, just a quick snippet of a story, because it's not even story worthy.
Yeah.
So, I've mentioned this, like, matchmaking website that I'm subscribed to.
Right.
It's not a dating app, you pay for it. So, people are more serious on it.
Yeah.
So, usually I get nothing, but lately I've actually been getting a couple guys. So, I got this guy, and I'm like, okay, I'll accept the match.
Mm-hmm.
So, he texted me a couple days ago. He's like, hey, what you're supposed to do is once you I have my settings, so the guy will get the match first,
Right.
and then once he accepts, then I get the match.
Okay.
So then I'll see it, and if I choose to accept it, then, like, we match.
Right.
And it's a whole rule thing. Like, we get each other's phone numbers after
Yeah.
it's mutually accepted,
Right.
and then the rule is the guy is supposed to call you within a few days.
Okay.
And the purpose of the call is to set up a date.
Right.
So I like having a pre-screen call anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So even
As you should.
even guys on dating apps, I usually try to, like, have a call or a video call. Even
Yeah.
if it's just, like, 10 minutes, like,
You have to weed them out somehow.
I just need to make sure you're a normal person.
Right. And
So-
not a serial killer.
And, like, yeah, and yes, I am guilty of not doing this on occasion, and most of the times it's come to bite me, but it's okay. So, this guy, he texted me. It just happened to be I had nothing going on that night. But I'm a busy woman. I have this podcast.
Yep.
I am dating other people.
Mm-hmm.
I have work, and I have a social life.
Mm-hmm.
And The Bachelorette just started again.
Yeah.
So, like,
You're very busy.
I'm very busy. So, anyway, that night I just happened to be free. I didn't have anything. Oh, actually, Morgan and I were supposed to record, and then we switched nights.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, so I just had this random free night in my week, and I'm like, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I was, like, thinking, like, oh, maybe I'll make plans to go and, like, go over to my friends. We watch a show together. I'm like, actually, it's supposed to thunderstorm. I'm gonna stay in my apartment. Like,
Right.
I just need to relax. I need to do some podcast editing. And then this guy texts. I'm like, okay, and I can have a phone call with this guy. So we have our phone call.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Right.
It was a half an hour. And then at the end of the call is when he's, like, supposed to be like, okay, so when do you want to go out? Like, what works for you? He's like, would you be available for another phone call? And in the moment, I was just very taken aback.
Right.
So I'm like, why are we having another phone
Like,
call?
for what?
For what? Like, what's the point?
Right.
Like, I understand if he's not in New York, but he is.
So then just go on a
He's
date
in New
instead of
York,
a
so it's like,
second
okay,
call.
we had the phone call, so
Right.
now you're supposed to ask me on a date.
Mhm.
And, like, in the moment, I should have said, oh, why do you want another phone call? Like, aren't you supposed to ask me on a date now?
Right,
Like,
right.
all that, but I was just a little bit taken aback, and also, like, I don't want to have to tell a guy he has to ask me out. I already went on it. I actually went on a date last night with a guy who I had to tell to ask me out. It's a whole nother thing.
No,
but
you should.
I shouldn't have to tell a guy to ask me out.
Let them chase you.
And like this guy from the website, it's like this is supposed to be like a serious thing. Like this isn't like a dating app guy like messing around. Like the guy from like that I went out with last night. Like that is what it is. It is whatever it is. And like finally he just was annoying me, and I told him he's the boy who lives in my phone, and he's like, well, let's change that. I'm like,
the boy who lives in your phone.
Yeah, I literally told him, I'm like, yeah, but you're just the boy who lives in my phone. And he's like, I want to change that. I'm like, okay, so you have to ask me on a date. He's like, I did ask you out. I'm like, ask me what I'm doing later that night is not asking me on a date.
Right.
I'm a busy woman, and I don't do day of plans for a first date unless it's like really cool. Like,
he
okay,
tried to ask you out the same day.
Yeah, he's like, what are you up to? And I'm
That's
like,
horrifying.
I have plans.
Right.
And like he basically,
I would have needed at least 48 hours to mentally prepare myself.
Exactly. And it's like, I'm not meeting you after work where I'm sweaty and looking disgusting.
Right.
But also, like, I have plans. And also, even if my plans are just going home and laying in my bed and watching TV.
Those are plans.
Those are plans.
For yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, that guy was like a different story because we had been talking last summer. And then the last message I had in our conversation was when my ex-boyfriend and I became exclusive.
Oh my god.
And I was like, hey, I started seeing someone, like, bye.
Oh god. Awkward.
Like those texts. And then he like randomly texted me at some point, like a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who's this again? And he reminded me, I'm like, oh, LOL, the last text I had. He's like, yeah, I was in grad school for the year, but now I'm back in New York and I'm back for good. And I'm like, cool. And he's like, yeah, last summer I wasn't serious about dating, but this summer I am. And I'm like, sure.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, well, the last text I have in our conversation was me telling you I had a boyfriend. Right. But like, cool. Just letting you know, we did break up in case you were wondering.
Yeah.
Because like, I did send you a text that I had a boyfriend.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so whatever. So he would like text here and there. He followed me on Instagram. Maybe he's listening to this podcast. Yeah. Who knows? I don't really care. But
Staten Island, if you're out there, hi. Hope you're doing well.
So then he's like, he'll comment on reply to my Instagram stories, text me every now and again, and I'm like, chill. Like, what do you want from me?
Right.
You're just in the pile of boys who follow me on Instagram, who I used to date or talk to.
Pile of boys. You know, that's funny that you say that, because as I go through Instagram, I notice, you go clicking through Instagram stories, and I'm like,
I unfollow people.
This? I'm like, oh my god,
it's a guy
with X amount of months ago.
So
like,
I can't bring myself to unfollow my ex-boyfriend.
Right.
But everyone else, like, if we're not talking anymore, I unfollowed you. Makes sense, like in the episode with Grant, I told the story of dog guy and horse guy. Both of them are unfollowed on my account. They still follow me. My friend told me, she's like, you should write a memoir that says to all the boys who follow me on Instagram.
Oh my god!
Or no, it's to all the boys who watch my stories. Yes. Oh, because they all watch my stories.
Right.
But wait, I digressed from my original story. So fine, I went on a date with the boy who lives in my phone. I called him out for living in my phone.
Yeah.
We finally went on a date. It actually wasn't so bad.
Okay.
TBD if there's a second date. It's probably not going anywhere, but like, it's whatever. It is what it is. He has to make it happen. Yeah, he has to make it happen. I'm not going to tell him to ask me on a second date.
No.
But, so anyway, this guy who I have a phone call with, I was just taken aback that he asked for a second phone call. I'm like, that's not what you're supposed to do.
Right.
But I just don't want to tell you to ask me on a date. So fine, so we hang up. And then he texted me yesterday and he's like, hey, sorry for the late reply. I had a really nice time talking to you. Do you want to have a video? Are you free, like, next week for a video call? And I'm like, I should have asked in the moment, like, why do you want to do a video call instead of going out in person?
Right.
But I didn't because, again, I didn't want to have to tell him to ask me on a date.
Yes. Wait, this is before or after you met him in person?
We have not met in person. We had one phone call. So then, this is for next week.
Oh, right.
So then I was like, actually, my schedule's pretty full. To be very honest, my Tuesday right now is available. But, like, I don't want to book my one free night for a video call.
No.
I'm like, if he would have asked me on in person, I would have given him Tuesday.
Right.
But he asked for a video call, so why would I give him Tuesday for a video call that will maybe last an hour that kills my whole night?
Right.
What if I got other plans? What if one of my other guys asked me out? Like, I'd rather go out in person.
Yeah.
It is IRL summer. Like, we're living IRL right now.
Yeah.
We are not living in video calls. I was actually video chatting with a friend earlier, and she's like, I'm so sad. It's a long distance friend.
Yeah.
She's like, it's so sad that we have to video chat. Like, she's like, I love talking to you, but sometimes it makes me sad that we video chat and we can't just, like, go get our nails done or, like, go get lunch.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it is sad.
Yeah.
But, like, if you live in New York City, come take me on a date.
Yeah.
Like, why are you asking for a video call?
Take this girl out on a date.
Exactly. And then I'm like, what are his reasons? And then he was getting all sassy with me that I had no other time available.
Are you serious?
He's like, so you have no other time? He asked me.
You're a busy woman.
He asked me 3 times, and I'm like, I have no other time available. I literally gave him all of Sunday. I'm like,
right.
Whatever time on Sunday, I'm free.
Wait, that's also concerning. That is he just like sitting around and like has like nothing to do? Like
no,
all
I
the
think
time?
I think he just wanted the power of it, and like he didn't.
Right.
He's like, "Are you always this busy?" And I'm like, "It depends on the week." Like that is a red flag to me because I'm like, okay, just because I don't fit into your schedule. And he told me he works at a job. He works in a school.
Okay.
So he has 2 jobs. One of them is in a school,
Right.
and one of them is not in a school. So the
Okay.
one not in a school is once a week, and the one that is in a school, it is summer vacation.
And
So
he's
he literally works 1 day a week, and he's asking me why I'm so busy. I'm like,
You're
dude,
full time.
I have a full-time job.
With no.
I have a podcast, and I have friends. I can't help it.
Also, him saying that to you, like, oh, are you always this busy? He literally is gaslighting you.
I
Like,
know.
That's literally gaslighting. Like you're
He doesn't-
like you're
I don't
supposed
know
to
if
feel
he's-
bad that you're so busy.
I
You're
know.
a busy woman,
I-
as you should be.
I'm
Live your
entitled to
life.
be a busy woman.
Yes.
And you know what? The guys who I had been with, had like been in relationships with, loved that I was busy.
Mm-hmm.
They loved it. Like my ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
So I was dating him when I first moved to the area that I'm in now, and I was
Yeah.
like trying to meet new people and make friends. Anytime I told him that I maybe had some sort of social plan
Right.
that like would maybe conflict, but I was like, oh, it's okay. Like we have plans that night. He's like, no, let's do our plans a different night. Go be social. Go make
Wow.
friends. Like it's important to you. Go do your thing. He's
Yes.
like, we can hang out a different night.
Yes.
Like go do your thing.
Right. Because you have friends. You have a social life. You're also working. Also, you want a night to yourself. That's a night to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you deserve.
I
that
need some
time.
self-care, and
Yes.
that's if I want to like. I shouldn't have to feel guilty that I want to watch The Bachelorette on Monday nights with my friends.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't need to go. Listen, if it was a guy I was really excited about, like, yeah, maybe I would ditch my friends for one Monday night
Right.
to go on a date. Or, like, if it was a guy I really liked, but, like, by him telling me he wanted a video call shows me that he's not, like, that serious about me.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, why should I be that serious about him?
Right.
Maybe not serious, but, like, he's not, like, I don't know. It's not important to him. So why
Right.
is it a priority? It's not a
You
priority.
should not prioritize
So-
someone that doesn't prioritize you.
Exactly. So I'm like, you're asking me for a bit. Again, if he had asked me for a date, I would have given him Tuesday.
Yeah.
100%. He could have my one free night.
Yep.
But no, for a video call, heck no.
No.
I'm going to split it up. I mean, I did give him a couple other options. I was like, I'm recording with someone on Wednesday. We could do it after I record.
Right.
And like, he just didn't like the options I gave him. And I'm like, that's my week. Like, I book my weeks in advance.
And he's working 1 day a week.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm
That
just
is
like,
absurd.
I don't know. I was telling my friend about this, and she's like, he's not your guy.
No.
I'm like, I don't think so either.
No.
But
He's not prioritizing you nearly as much as he has to be if he's interested.
exactly. And like, I'm not saying I need to be prioritized before a first date. Like, but ask me on a first date.
Yeah, no, literally.
Literally ask me on a first
Wait,
date.
did you give him the second FaceTime?
It's going to be on Sunday.
Oh. I can't wait to hear about it.
So the first one was a phone call, and this one is a FaceTime. And I'm like, okay, so
Oh my
Sunday
God.
at 1,
So
we'll
this
see
is
what
your
happens.
first time you're gonna like see his face. I mean,
Yeah.
not in real life, obviously.
Like, I've seen pictures.
Yeah,
And it's like, whatever. But like, fine. If this doesn't go well, I'm not giving him a date.
I wouldn't either.
Like, why waste an outfit and get pretty? Like,
why? That okay? Literally, wait. I have a story about that.
okay, I'm ready.
I went on a date, like a brunch date. I literally couldn't tell you like who it was, when it was. I have no idea. But all I remember is I looked so good. My outfit was hot. I got full hair and makeup done. I was like, I feel great. I'm like, I literally can't waste this outfit. So I'm like talking to like a few other guys. Like the date I went on was the first date. I'm like, all right, let's see what else. So I am actively the whole day trying to set up another date for that night. Just so
Did you do it?
No, it failed. It failed.
I have friends who have done 2 in one day. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know, because number one, I'm not a morning person, so like you can't pay me to do Sunday morning.
Yeah, I'm not a morning person either. I'm not sure what made me want to do a brunch date.
Yeah,
that is not. I'm like not at the height of me. Like it,
yeah, my friend told me she did 11 a.m. coffee on a Sunday. And I'm like, I'm not alive.
No, especially like if we're at karaoke till 3 a.m. the night before, I am not up at 10 a.m. the next morning.
Oh, I had to be up at
Absolutely
10
not.
because I went to brunch also, but with friends, and I was half dead the whole day.
Well, like if you're at brunch with friends, like you could be half dead. You could sit in the meal in silence and just everyone is in the same understanding that you're all exhausted and dead.
Like if I'm like a person at 11, I'm on my Peloton.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like being like a real person.
Right.
I don't know. I just couldn't do it, but I respect the 2 in one day.
Me too.
I respect it.
Yeah, and you know what? Had I been able to do it and been successful at it, I would have respected the hell out of myself, but it didn't work. I couldn't get
what a shame.
date. I know. But it all worked out in the end, because now I have grants, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Who else? I made a whole list today, because I just was going through all of my crazy thoughts of all the men that I've been through. There was this guy, shortly after the 6-month guy, who we went on our first date to get drinks, and like it was at like a Mexican restaurant. We had drinks and guac and chips, and he lived conveniently like a block away, as men do, right?
As men do. I had a date like this too.
Yeah, he picked a place. Yep. Literally, I kid you not, 1 block away from his apartment. So we have drinks, and he was like, "Do you want to come sit on my patio?"
Oh my god, mine was a rooftop.
Oh. Wait, that's so funny.
It wasn't 1 block away. It was a few blocks.
Oh no, I'm literally kidding.
Oh my god, that's his move. That's his move.
I'm sure I'm probably the 20th girl he brought to this place to then take him for quote drinks on the patio. So we go back to his apartment just because I'm like, whatever. Like,
I should invite guys for drinks on my patio.
You have a nice patio.
Yeah, but I don't really want guys to come over and have drinks.
No, wait until you're past like the 4th day and you feel comfortable with the person, then maybe.
Yeah, then they can come up.
Yeah. So we go back and he had like a nice like 2-bedroom apartment. It was pretty big and like pretty patio outside. So like whatever. Date went great. It was a great night. Whatever. We were talking for a little while. Like a little while. I keep throwing around a few months because I literally, these are all like honestly like repressed memories now, and I'm having to like bring everything out because it's been so long. But there was one night where we were hanging out. We didn't have dinner. We just had drinks, and then I ended up just like sleeping over and crashing at his apartment. The next morning, I had to go home because I have a dog that I had to walk and feed as a responsible adult that I am. And he said to me, he was like, "The second you leave, I'm making eggs." And I was like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, I'm so hungry. The second you leave, I'm making breakfast and making eggs." And I was like, "You can't make
Why don't you make me
eggs?"
breakfast?
And I can't wait for Jillian to hear this because she will never let me live this down. Like this guy was the scummiest, like treated me like trash. It was disgusting.
No, that's
Can
terrible.
You imagine?
I wouldn't do it.
I stole his umbrella.
Good. Keep that umbrella. I hope it was a nice one. I hope it was expensive.
I think it ended up breaking and I threw it out, but I stole
Okay, good.
his umbrella.
I don't care. I don't care if you broke it.
Quote, borrow it, and then I never gave it back because I'm like, F him, honestly.
Good.
Can you imagine? He's like, "The second you leave, I'm making breakfast." I'm like, that is disgusting. Would it kill you
No.
to throw an extra egg on there for me? Like, what kind of rush are you in to throw me out of here so fast?
No, literally, the only time, like, the times that I slept over,
Yeah.
I mean, this was with my ex.
Right.
He bought me bagels, bought me coffee.
Yep.
Like, well,
Yep.
one time we had to come back at, like, 6 o'clock in the morning. It was an accidental sleepover, like,
Yeah.
not planned.
Yeah.
Like, a couple times we planned it. Usually I would only stay over if we were doing something on, the next day.
Uh-huh.
So, like, a couple Thursday nights, like, if I didn't have work on Friday, I would stay over and we, like, one day he took me to the beach. And it was just easier to go from his house.
Right.
So I stayed over. Obviously, he bought me bagels on the way to the beach. We got
Yeah.
coffee.
Yeah.
No, but one time there was... Okay, so we planned our date. I was, like, going home the next day for, like, a month.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, I want to see you, like, let's do something before you leave. Like, I want to see you before you leave.
Right.
And so we had planned that night. Neither of us looked up the weather. There was literally a hurricane. And
Oh my God.
I got stuck.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we almost got stuck because I got there a little bit late and then we were, like, doing something around his house because we were going to go get dinner. And he's like, so finally by the time we went to get dinner, it was pouring
Oh
rain.
my God.
And we almost got stuck. We almost couldn't get back to his house because his street was flooded. He tried, like, 4 different
Oh my
ways
God, that
to
is
get to his
terrible.
house. I'm like, where are we going to go? Everything was flooded. This was the crazy, crazy rainstorm, all of you New York City people, of, like, September 2021.
Yeah.
The crazy, crazy rainstorm.
Yes.
Neither of us looked up the weather. My
Is that when
roommate...
all those basement apartments got flooded?
Yeah,
and
I think
everything?
so. My roommate was texting me. She's like, are you okay? Like, are
Yeah.
you safe? And I'm like, yeah, I'm staying here for the night. She's like,
Yeah.
yes, do not come back. It is not
Uh-huh.
safe.
Uh-huh.
So, like, and I was hysterical. I was just, like,
I don't blame
so
you.
I have anxiety. And,
Yeah.
like, I was just anxious. I had a flight the next day.
Oh my God.
I mean, luckily it was in the afternoon, like,
Yeah.
evening time flight. And I'm like, but I have work tomorrow. I didn't bring my work stuff. He's like, it's fine. He's like, the streets will... Because it had stopped raining at some point, but it was still flooded.
Yeah.
And, like, his dad was like, you're not driving back to the city. You can't
Right.
get back to the city.
Like,
All of the
physically.
streets are flooded.
Yeah.
So then I was, like, crying. And I'm
Oh my
like...
God.
And he's like, why are you crying? I'm like, but I have work tomorrow. And I have to pack. And what about my flight? And what's going to happen? And what if I get stuck here? He's like... It's fine. You'll
Yeah.
be fine. I was just
I ask
hysterical.
myself every day, like, why am I crying?
Why am I crying? He's like, why are you crying?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
fine.
Uh-huh.
So I ended up staying, and then he drove me home at 6 a.m.
Perfect.
because, like, he had to go to work too.
Uh-huh.
So, like, he's like, okay, we'll get up at 6 before it's heavy traffic. I'll drive you back because then he started work way earlier than I did.
Yeah.
So he had to drive me back to the city and then drive back.
Oh my God.
Also, I had a COVID exposure, and this is when I still cared about COVID exposures.
Yeah.
So I was like, I have a COVID test booked in the morning.
Oh my God.
And, like, he had already been exposed to me after I found out about the COVID exposure.
Right,
and I'm like,
right.
and what if I gave you and your dad COVID? And he's like, it's fine.
Uh-huh.
Because, like, at first, like, I saw him, and then he was like, okay, you've already exposed me. But I'm like, now I exposed your dad.
Yeah.
And, like, I was just hysterical about everything.
Yeah.
He's like,
yeah.
it's fine. We made it back. I made it back to my
You're
apartment.
fine. Stop crying.
My COVID test was negative. I made it to my flight.
Uh-huh.
I packed. I made it to
Perfect.
work.
Amazing.
There were a bunch of cars on the side of the road. He's like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's a good thing you didn't make me drive back last night.
Right.
Like, that would have been us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Oh my God.
So that time we didn't get breakfast. He offered. He's like, do you want breakfast? And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I just want to go home.
Oh my God.
Also, I, like, wasn't a person.
Dramatic.
Because, like, I stayed up late. I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
And then we woke up really early.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
but yeah, no, that's disgusting.
Yeah, moral of the story, do not continue to see a guy that refuses to make you eggs.
Yeah.
Life lesson.
Yeah, my ex made me eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't even stay over. He picked me up I stayed over at my friend's house.
Wow.
Who, like, lives in his
And
area.
he still made you eggs.
And he picked me up. He's like, okay, I'll make you breakfast. We'll
What
get
a
coffee,
man.
and then we'll go to the pumpkin patch.
What a man.
What a man.
Wow.
I wonder if he's listening to this
Crazy.
podcast. Sometimes I wonder.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm like,
See,
there's
one of
a
your
really
Instagram
good...
followers?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's my ex-boyfriend. So, he watches all my stories.
Perfect.
He probably listens to this podcast. Who
Yeah.
even knows? But whatever.
Yeah.
Enough about me.
Yeah.
Let's continue with yours.
Okay, next on my dating list, I went on a date with this guy. The first date was dinner, and we had a lovely time. It was honestly, and you know what? Obviously, this podcast is all about, like, some horrific, like, disgusting men that I've like dated, but I had a lot of really great dates. And like I know I can't imagine what Grant talked about because he told me he had horrific dating experiences. But like I could safely say I had a lot of good first dates and good second dates, and then just didn't work out. We weren't a good fit, whatever. So this guy, we had a great first date. Dinner was great. He paid. Like I was like, all right, like I would love to see you again. Our second date, we go to karaoke.
Oh my gosh.
Just the two of us at first. Keyword at first.
At
so
first.
we went and we got a private room, just the two of us. And, you know, hindsight, karaoke with one other person is not ideal.
It's not fun.
I mean, it was like a date, but like whatever. It was honestly, it was fine. Then Jillian invited me to, they were at another karaoke place a few blocks away, and she was like, it's my friend's birthday party, like we're all here, it'd be so much fun. And I asked the guy, I'm like, do you want to go like meet like a few of my friends? He was like, yeah, sure. So we go to the other karaoke place and we meet Jillian, and like it was her friend's birthday, and it was a whole group of girls, and like it was just, I thought it would be a good time. He like had this like miserable look on his face the entire time, but like I was like, honestly, like whatever. Jillian and I like sang Mamma Mia songs as we do, and every time we're at karaoke, like had a great time, and I was just like living my best life. And then he sent me the most elaborate breakup text that I've ever received in my entire life, but it was so well worded that I actually used that text modified to then break up with guys in the future.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, so we got something useful out of it.
You know what? We got something. I got, first of all, on the first date, I got free dinner. So
Yeah.
that's number one. And then second of all, from the second, after he dumped me, because he was like, you know, I just like, I wish that I had this text saved, because, but it was something along the lines of like, I had such a nice time getting to know you. Like, I just feel like, you know, we're not on the same wavelength. That's what it was. He said something about, like, wavelength. We're on different wavelengths. I was like, all right, like, okay. But it was just, the way that it was crafted was such, like, a brilliant text. Like, it was like, let them down, like, gently. So
Yeah.
I then just, like, moved some words around, whatever, and then I used that text to, like, break up with 3 more guys after that.
That's awesome.
It was
I love it.
phenomenal.
Respect.
It was phenomenal. You know what? Incredible learning experience, and I got a great breakup text out of it. It was great. But moral of that story is, you probably shouldn't bring a guy to meet like a crazy big group of girls on the second date. And he was, you know what? It would be different if he was like an outgoing, fun person, but he was like a little bit more.
Because I was going to say, I feel
reserved.
like that would be Grant's speed.
Grant.
I feel like
would
Grant
live for that.
would have loved
Yeah.
that. I mean, that's like any karaoke night with Grant, anyways.
Yeah.
Um,
Grant would have
Yeah.
loved that. But Grant and I had a very different first date experience. And right off the bat, I knew he was like an incredibly fun, lively person. This other guy that I had gone out with, like, was just like a little more reserved and quiet, and like, but like, he had this like cool, calm demeanor about him. So that's what I was like, oh, I'm like intrigued, you know what I mean? But then he dumped me, and I was like, all right, like on to the next one. Like the way that he just let me down in a way that was so gentle, I was like, I don't feel upset whatsoever. That's the best way to say,
Good.
like, I don't want to date you anymore. Like,
Yeah.
it's great.
so, yeah, obviously reuse it.
Yeah. So I guess not always to not bring someone up to karaoke. It depends on who the person is.
Yeah,
You gotta
just
feel them out.
see who it
You
is.
gotta feel them out.
Unless you
Yeah.
want to weed them out.
Yes.
It's a good weed out.
Yeah, 100%. You know, if they like karaoke, that they're gonna kill it, and then they're gonna love karaoke moving forward.
Also, it's like, are they adaptable? Can they hang?
Can they hang?
Can they hang?
Grant can hang.
Grant can definitely hang.
Grant 100% can hang. More than anyone I've met in my entire life. Wow. Who else did I date? Oh, this was a fun one. I went on, I think it was 3 dates with this guy, like born and raised in Brooklyn. I only
Okay.
refer to him as
As
Brooklyn
Brooklyn?
Italian man. He was full-blown Italian.
Oh, wow.
Loved his mom. He would talk about his mom who would like sit on the stoop and like of the apartment and like she would make homemade tomato sauce, like full
sauce.
Like sauce, like mom's sauce, like it was it was obsessed with his mom, fully Italian, and like something about that was like so fun to me. I was like, oh my god, like Italians are amazing, fun people. Like they're lively, like we get along, we vibe. So like we had like really such a fun few dates until after it was definitely after the last date that we went on. We're like he like walked me home from the place that we went on a date, and we're standing in front of my apartment building just like talking, and he goes on a whole thing about how he divorced recently. And
oh wow.
Oh,
that's a lot to drop on someone on a third date.
You want to know what else?
Like you should be upfront about that. Does he have a kid?
No. His ex-wife, or was it fiance? No, they were married. It was his ex-wife.
Oh my god.
Was suicidal and like all of this stuff, and like it was heavy.
Did you know he was divorced before?
No.
Oh my god.
No. This was the first time I'm hearing all of this. So and the only reason that it came up and we're standing on the street corner talking about this is I noticed as we were walking back to my apartment that he got like very quiet and like not responsive like to the conversation, and like was like, this feels really weird. And then he actually said something like, I'm sorry I've been so quiet, like I just like I've been having like a good time getting to know you, but I feel myself not wanting to open up and like be vulnerable. And then boom, drops
everything.
All of this on me all at once, and I'm just like, that's a lot of information. And like I'm trying to be as empathetic as possible as I am as a person, and it was insane. It was just like to drop that all on someone. Like I understand, like okay, you've been through a lot, you have baggage. Everyone has, I mean, maybe this is just my opinion. I think everyone has their own kind of baggage.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
Right, everyone brings to
some
the
more
table,
severe than others.
Exactly. People bring different experiences into dating, and like I think that can be really beneficial in a lot of a lot of ways, because you bring different experiences to the table and you can learn from one another. But he dropped this all on me like a bomb, and I was just like, that is a lot of information. And he was very emotionally unavailable, and he like put on this whole persona like, I'm having such a great time with you, whatever. And like,
and it was all fake.
It was all, he was completely emotionally unavailable. But like the way that we interacted, I was like, oh my god, we are completely vibing, like having a great time. And like I felt like we had like connection right off the bat, like, which was crazy. And then he dropped this all on me, and then it was like trickled down texts over the next like week or two, and then all of a sudden radio silence.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then he texted me like out of the blue like a month later. He's like, hey, so sorry I was out of town, like how have you been? And I was like, what?
Yeah, no.
I was like, you're not ready for a relationship, man. Like, get your life together. Like, please go to therapy. Like, help yourself. Like, how can you be in a relationship, or how can you, like, you have some deep-rooted trauma to work through, like that. Like, yeah. Please
go to therapy.
Please go to therapy.
We've said this before on the podcast. Everyone can benefit from therapy, especially if you've had a traumatic 100%.
Experience. I have never said anything more in my entire life than everyone should go to therapy.
Everyone should go to therapy.
100%. 10 out of 10.
Morgan is in the mental health profession.
Correct.
Like, go to therapy. Here on Sticky Situations, we tend to focus on bad dating stories, but sometimes dates do go well and lead to proposals and weddings. Who would have thought? And what do all of those require, you might be asking? Well, the answer is flowers. Who doesn't want flowers from someone they've been seeing? Don't forget, flower petals and bouquets needed for proposals. And that's even before all the flowers that go into weddings. Sticky Situations is sponsored by Primrose Flower Shop. In my opinion, Primrose is the coolest flower shop around and has the best customer service to fulfill all of your floral needs. Primrose offers a range of services from your basic bouquets to subscription services where you can get flowers delivered once a week. They deliver all over the tri-state area, including Manhattan. Primrose does weddings, bar and bat mitzvahs, and other simchas. I've personally been to a wedding where Primrose did the flowers, and the work they did was beyond gorgeous. Primrose additionally offers in-store proposals, including a romantic setup with candles and music. Primrose is located at 2922 Avenue M in Brooklyn, and the phone number is 929-376-9815. You can also follow Primrose on Instagram at PrimroseNY. So, if you can't get someone out of your head, buy them some flowers from Primrose. They'll either love it or they'll find you really creepy. But regardless, the flowers will be out of this world. Okay, so Morgan.
Yes.
Do you have any other stories that you want to share with the podcast listeners?
I don't think so. That's the bulk of...
you had some pretty good stories.
I did have some good stories. I'm sure there's some I'm forgetting, but those were the important
You can
ones.
save it for round 2.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, when I run out of guests, all my guests will come back for round 2.
Perfect.
I mean, hopefully Morgan won't have any new stories.
No.
Yeah, but some of my other guests might. Yeah. I probably will. I was just telling Morgan that, offline, that somehow I've recorded all these episodes so far. I still have new stories. I still have a bunch of stories I haven't told.
That's incredible.
I don't know. Is it good or is it bad? I feel like it's bad.
Both.
Like, it's good for the content, bad for my soul.
Yeah.
Like,
but a learning experience.
It's like kind of soul crushing.
Learning experience.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the guy who won't be the story.
Aww.
He'll be the ending.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you're my ending, you're not a story.
Wow.
You know where to slide in.
Happy ever after.
The happily ever after.
Yeah.
Waiting for my Prince Charming to come and sweep me off my feet.
Yeah. Someone come grab her.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not a damsel, and I'm not in distress, and I'm a little bit distressed, but you know how it goes.
Yes.
I don't need to be saved, but just come sweep me off my feet.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I digress. So, Morgan, before you go, can you tell us how you met your current boyfriend?
Yes. So, I don't know what he talked about or what he mentioned.
He, briefly mentioned you met on a specific app, and you were both each other's, first match or whatever.
Did he say the name of the app?
I think so.
Okay. So I guess going off of what he said, we met on this weird app called Thursday. And it's an app that only works on Thursdays. And the point of it is you're supposed to match and go on a date that night. You're supposed to leave your Thursdays open. You have your Tuesdays open. If only it was Tuesday.
And I could switch it to Thursday if there were potential guys on there.
Yeah. So we matched. A few days later, we went on our first date, and our first date was 4 hours long, and it was at a bar. We had drinks, and Grant always makes a joke oh, we stayed so long, they handed us the keys and told us to lock up. That's his favorite thing to say. And we completely hit it off just right off the bat. I loved his energy. I loved the way that he thought, and I thought he was just such a fun, lively person. And it's hard to find someone with energy that you feel you match with, and it was immediate right off the bat. And I was actually just telling Rachel offline, I was scrolling through old texts today, and I found the very first text that he sent me, and it said, "Hi Morgan, it's Grant, your soulmate." And I screenshotted that today and sent it to him, and he was like, "LOL, you're so cute." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." So we just completely hit it off right off the bat, and we had such incredible stories to tell. And I if you know me, you know I'm a lightweight, and I had 2 drinks, and I was I was gone. I was hysterically laughing to the point where I was crying on our first date. And normally I'm not gonna get to any point where I'm crying on a first date, and I I should have been embarrassed, but I felt so comfortable with him, and that's how you know. That's completely I just felt so comfortable with him, and then the rest is history. We just had such an incredible energy between the two of us, and we continue to grow on that every single day.
And from an outsider looking in, I spend time with Grant and Morgan. They do. They have a fun energy.
Oh.
We go to karaoke.
Yes. We always have fun. Yes.
We always have fun. No, it's good. It's like, it's good. Coming from another fun person, it's nice to know there are other fun people out there.
It's
and
fun
like
being a fun person. It's fun being
and
around fun people.
And like finding a fun person to be fun with.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I only up until, and Jillian's gonna kill me when I say this because Jillian's my best friend, but like Grant is also my best friend, and it's turned into like I truly feel like I could just tell him anything, and like it's I just love that we have that communication, and like we just have so much fun together, and it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't worry, guys, they're not like a gross couple.
Yeah.
Like they're actually fun to be around. Like I like hanging out with them. They're like they're totally normal and like not gross.
We are not disgusting.
No, they're normal. They're like fun to be around. Like, you know, some couples are just gross.
We make fun of those couples. Like,
and like you just like you don't want to hang out with those couples. Like they're fun to hang out with as a couple.
Yeah. That's really nice. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Not gross.
Not gross. Not gross. Don't be gross.
Yes.
So, okay, Morgan, what dating advice do you have for my listeners? For Sticky Situation Nation.
Yes. This goes to men and women and theys and thems and whoever else may be listening. Literally, and it's like cheesy, but the best advice that I could say is completely be your true and honest self. If you don't put your best self forward and you are like trying to put on a persona or you're trying to say what you think the other person wants to hear, you're going about it completely wrong.
Honestly, I think Grant gave the same advice.
No way. Are you serious?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, to everyone listening, it's Rachel. I swear we did not discuss this before me recording this podcast episode.
If I'm wrong, don't sue me, guys. I'm just trying to remember back from when I recorded with Grant last week.
Wow. You know, that just goes telepathy.
Yeah.
We're on the same wavelength. That's crazy. I mean, because it's true. I mean, that's honestly, that's how you're going to meet people that you truly connect with, whether or not you continue dating with them. But, like, people, like, that's how you have a good first date. And, like, if you don't, then you're either not a good match or, like, one of you wasn't being your true and honest self. Like, you just put yourself out there and be vulnerable. Like, and it's scary to be vulnerable. I mean, it's horrifying, but it's also extremely rewarding and a lot less scary when you have someone who also was vulnerable with you.
I like it. It's good advice.
Thank you.
I always try to be myself.
Yeah.
I think I scare everyone away, but it's okay.
But you know
it's
what?
like, then they can't handle it.
Yes, exactly. I was just going to say.
Some guys like it, though. Some guys like it. Like, I'm just authentically me.
Yes.
And I know the ones that get scared by it or, like, put off by it. And I know the ones who think it's great.
You have to be you, though. Because, or else they're going to, if
they're going to find out eventually.
Exactly. They're going to find out eventually. Just be yourself right off the bat. They'll know what to expect, and then they'll know whether or not they can handle it.
I had a friend once who told me that I don't have good behavior. I just have bad behavior and worse behavior.
Oh my god! Wait, I love that. That's great.
So like, as much as I try to be on good behavior, it's just an aim to not be on worse behavior.
Yeah. Like, I don't have anxiety. I have severe anxiety or panic.
Yeah, exactly. So bad behavior and worse behavior. But you know what? We try to tone it down. But it's good.
Perfect.
And it's funny.
Yes.
And the right ones find it funny.
Exactly. 100%.
Okay, so Morgan, the final thing that I'll ask you. I like to ask all my guests what their Real Housewife tagline is. I haven't said mine in a while, so just as a reminder, mine is reality TV is my calling. Until I get there, I have this podcast. I've been toying with the idea of making a new one, but we'll see.
Perfect.
So, Morgan, what is your Real Housewife tagline?
So, I thought about it a lot in terms of what I would want as a tagline. And since we're talking about dating, not to make it just like me about dating with a tagline, but truly something that encompasses me is the following. My mother always told me, don't put all your eggs into one basket, but me and the way that I live my life, if you find the right basket and you know you're going to marry them, throw all your eggs in as deep as you can and as fast as you can. All the eggs.
I like it. I think a lot of times people get scared to jump all in.
Yeah.
But I think if it's right, it's good to jump all in.
100%.
Just don't be like me. Like, I don't jump all in too fast, but like, I do shift very quickly. It's like, oh yeah, I'm into this.
Yep.
But Sometimes it's right. And when
Yep.
it's right, it's right.
When it's right, when you know, throw all the eggs in. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Live your
And hopefully
life.
he'll make you eggs in the morning.
Yeah. That was perfect. And hopefully he'll make you eggs. Yes.
Okay. Morgan, this has been a
Yes.
blast.
I had so much fun. Thank
This
you
is so
for
great.
having me.
Thanks
This
for
was
coming.
Amazing. So much fun.
This has been great. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed as much as Morgan and I did. But honestly, like, even if you didn't, we had fun.
Yeah,
So that's all that matters.
matters.
But yeah, everyone, remember to like the Shaky Situations page on Facebook. Follow Shaky Situations Pod on Instagram and on TikTok. If you would like to be a guest on this podcast, please send me a DM on Instagram or email me at shakysituationspod@gmail.com. Also, if you want to date me or any of my single guests, you can also slide in, let me know. We can try to make it work. I'm an aspiring Shad Khan. But yeah, so thanks for tuning in to another episode, and I guess you'll catch me next time.